before we had babies, before we became parents.
Yeah, there's a lot to expect when you're expecting, or if you don't have much knowledge, you might be kind of over planning or under planning. So we're just going to shed some light on what we feel are 10 things you should know before having a baby.
Yeah, in our case, we were young when we started having kids, so we didn't have friends that have gone through, you know, the process. I feel like that's where a lot of older couples, no offense to older moms, but I feel like that's like older parents, older couples that are expecting kids kind of have heard advice from their friends who've already had kids. For us, we didn't know anybody else besides ourselves that were parents, so we didn't really have any advice to go off of. These are just a few things that we wish we knew when we were up with our first at night, not knowing what to do, or not knowing what something meant, not knowing that something was normal or something was concerning. So we just wanted to take some time and share the knowledge with new parents that might not know some of the stuff.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know us, we have 3 babies, 3 under 3. We've had them back to back to back. So, you know, it's some of this stuff we're not experts, but I would say we're pretty well we're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to taking care of a newborn and what's necessary and what things you should look out for and what you should be worried about, what you shouldn't be worried about.
Yeah, all the knowledge is still fresh. Our youngest is 7 months, so he was a newborn not too long ago, and then before him we had another newborn not too long before, and then same with our oldest. So all this knowledge is still pretty fresh in our minds, which is why we wanted to take some time to share it.
So I'm going to start off with babies don't cry for no reason. Whether it's, you know, they're tired, they're hungry, they have gas, they need to go to the bathroom, whatever it is, there's always a reason. And they even cry, like you'll notice different cries too that will kind of symbolize like which one of those things they need, but never assume that a baby's crying just to cry, because they're not.
Especially in like that newborn stage, I feel like if they're crying, it could be because they're cold. You know, when they're newborns, they're fresh out the womb, so they're so used to a stable environment, and bringing them into the world, it's different. So you have to expect that if they're crying, it might be because they want to be comforted, or because they're hungry, because they're cold, because they have to poop, because they have gas. Like, there's so many things, and I feel like a lot of people kind of assume, or they hear the older like advice from like older people say, oh no, just let them cry as long as they're fed, as long as they're changed, which is true. But I mean, there's sometimes like you can't tell if they have gas, and so if they can't tell you straight up, I have gas, they can only cry.
That's their way of communicating.
Yeah.
They cry for communication.
Yeah, and then as you get more accustomed to your child and learn their cues, you'll understand like which cries mean what, or like when they move their body. So
yeah,
my next one would be baby acne. Nobody talks about baby acne, and I feel like when you look on social media, you just see all these pretty pictures of perfect babies, but I realized with our first, Lena, she started getting like bumps on her cheeks, and I was like, oh my gosh, like where is this coming from? I was like, her skin is clean, she's bathed, I don't know like what's wrong. And I had to like go on Google, and then Google said baby acne, and when we took her to the pediatrician said baby acne, that it's completely normal. It's just like the mom's hormones still in the baby's body, and then it just goes away with time. There's ways to help it, like breast milk baths, or just like putting some breast milk on it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of something that's uncontrollable and it's natural, but nobody talked about it. I had no idea. I know a family member, or a few family members saw, all our kids have had baby acne to some extent, and family members would look at them and be like, oh, you need to wash them more, or stop kissing them on the cheeks, which that's not what baby acne is, but it's just something that I wish that more people were knowledgeable about.
Yeah, because I know with Lena, it was like, it was there, and then one of, like, some family members would say like, oh, like you have to be careful because like morning breath will like cause that, or like kissing them on the cheeks would cause that. And then with Eden, his was like really bad at one point. Like he got so much on his face, and I was like, I know we both were like, what are we doing wrong? Because with Lena, it was like very minuscule. There wasn't much, but with Eden, it was everywhere.
It was all over his face.
Yeah, completely covered.
It was heartbreaking, but I mean, and when family members saw, like, I can only imagine if they weren't even knowledgeable about it, that what they thought. But their automatic assumptions were, oh, like, you need to stop kissing him, you need to bathe him more. And it's just something that's completely natural. Like I said, like I'm pretty sure it's the mother's hormones that are still in the baby's bodies.
Definitely the breast milk baths, those would help remedy it almost instantly. Like with Lena, we put it on and then the next day it was pretty much all gone.
And hers was a mild case though. For Eden, his just took like a lot of just time. His took time. He had it starting like the first month when he was like a month old, and then it lasted until like 2 or 3 months. Yeah. And if, you know, it's nothing to be too alarmed about, but if you think that it's bad enough or severe enough to like contact your pediatrician, if you don't have an appointment, then do so. But it's normal. What the point is, it's normal. Yeah.
All right, so for my next one, this one I try to like tell like my family or other people I know who are having babies is tummy time. It's with Lena, we were so focused on caring for her every need, like holding her nonstop, carrying her, letting her sleep on us, like everything. But over time we realized that she was kind of like not moving slow, but like we wanted her to do tummy time and she didn't really like it. We wanted her to sit up on her own, she didn't really want to, or she was struggling. With Eden, we started right away putting him on his stomach, like probably what, like 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old?
Yeah,
like it was super early. He was on his stomach, he was doing tummy time nonstop. We weren't holding him, and he's like super independent. I don't know, obviously you don't want them too independent. Like I know if it's your first, you want them to be kind of dependent, you want to like have a lot of cuddles and everything, but it's important that they kind of grow the way that they need to. Like I mean, I guess it don't really matter if they do it at 1 year old, learn how to like sit up and everything and start crawling, or if it's 6 months old, but it'll just help like strengthen the neck muscles, the back muscles. It'll help with the baby's development.
I feel like the biggest thing is just allowing the baby the space and the time to develop those muscles, because holding Lena all the time, like by the time we did want to put her down on her stomach, she just hated it. She's like, no, I want to be held. I don't want to like try any effort trying to hold up my head, all that stuff. But I know that Eden, we did it right away with him, and he was really fast. He picked up his head, and then from there, it's just the interest. I think that's what sparks the interest in like wanting to do more and beginning to crawl and roll over and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But another reason that I think it's important to do tummy time is, you know, the babies sleep on their back, and unless if you're holding them all the time, they're always on like the back of their head. So in order to kind of like prevent flat head, just giving them that time on their stomach too.
Yeah, so tummy time is definitely important for new parents.
Number 3 would be spitting up. Spitting up is normal. I did not learn that until Eden, our second. Lena did not spit up at all. And then that's kind of what I just thought, like, oh, okay, so that's not, like, babies don't spit up. I mean, they do, but, you know, like, it's not normal. And then Eden started spitting up, and he spit up to what I thought was excessively. And then I contacted the doctor, and the doctor's like, no, like, that's completely normal, that's fine, like, there's nothing to be worried about. And I was like, oh. And then we had our third, and the same thing, he spits up, and I was just like, wow, so like spitting up is completely normal, it's nothing to be alarmed. I think you can tell the difference between spit up and vomit, because they say that vomit is projectile, while spit up is just kind of like
falls out.
Yeah, it just like falls out of their mouth. So
our next one, number 4, is going to be making sure that you're not changing their diapers using wet wipes too much. Because what's going to happen is it's already since when they're newborns, infants, they poop a lot and they pee, not as much as they poop, I'd say, but they do pee a fair amount. And it's gonna sit on their skin, and their skin is super sensitive when they're infants. So you got to make sure that you are wiping with a wipe. But what we like to do is kind of change off. Like once we'll wipe with a wipe, and then the next time we change them, we'll get like a wet washcloth and we'll wipe down their butt like that. That way, you're not getting any chemicals, because even the ones that say like 99% water, they still have chemicals in them. So you want to make sure that there's no chemicals going on the baby's skin. It's just all water. You're just giving them a nice clean rinse, and then that way they don't get diaper rash. You don't have to put on like Aquaphor or these other diaper rash creams and everything.
Yeah, I know for Ezzy, since he's our youngest, his newborn stage is like freshest in my mind. But with Ezzy, he literally pooped like, I'd say like 12 times a day.
Yeah, a lot.
Like as soon as, but they were like sharts.
Yeah.
But like the point is, like he had poopy diapers like a lot, and he was in charge of poopy diapers, but he would have to like change them every time because you don't want them sitting in anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was after like a certain amount of time he started getting a rash, and even that's when we like switched to the wet rags versus the wipes for every change. But that's when you kind of saw that he had a rash, and the rash lasted a while, but the doctor was even like, it's completely normal.
Yeah, I know it's like all this is normal for babies, but it's like if you want to try to prevent like the irritability, because I don't know, like for me, like I wouldn't want a rash. I know a baby doesn't really mind, but I'm sure a baby doesn't want a rash either. So just trying to prevent it the best as possible.
Yeah, the most that you can do, the least that you can do is just try. I know sometimes disposable diapers are what causes rash too. So whether it's switching to cloth diapers or just wiping them down with the wet rag versus a wipe, whatever it is. But
yeah,
kind of going off of what Pete was talking about with diaper changes would be poop changes color. When they're newborn, their poop looks one way, like black, tar, that what is it called? Meconium, I think. And then a few weeks later, their poop changes again, depending on if they're breastfed or formula fed. It's like a brownish, mustardy color. And then when they get older, it changes color again. It's just, I didn't know that poop was an indicator of so many things. I know that when I breastfed Lena, and her poop would look kind of green sometimes, I Googled it and I was like, what's wrong? Nobody told me that her poop was going to turn green. Is that normal? And it was an indicator that she was getting too much foremilk.
Colostrum?
No, it was too much foremilk. And that means that like I wasn't nursing her enough on my boob, so she wasn't getting enough hind milk, which is where all like the fatty part of milk is. So too much foremilk is what caused her to have like this greenish poop. And if they have like diarrhea, it's an indicator that they could be sick or an intolerance to something. And then also just poop changes color according to their diet. So once you start introducing solids, it changes again. And it's just, I didn't know that poop could change so much within the first year. And just like learning what each poop means is like super helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely, because that's something new parents are going to be definitely concerned about. For us, it was like seeing like all the different colors changes. I remember whenever we go to the pediatrician, I'd always ask that question with Lena, because I was like, oh, did poop change color to this one? Is that okay? Or this? But yeah, that one's pretty obvious.
Important.
Okay, my next one is Cradle Cap. So Cradle Cap is something that I don't think I ever heard the term before. I don't think I ever seen it on any babies, but it is common, right? It's pretty common.
I think it's like something like 1 out of 5 again.
Yeah, so our kids, they had everything. They had Cradle Cap, they had baby acne, so they had all this stuff. But Cradle Cap is kind of like when it gets all like what the oil glands aren't producing as much, or is it like, overproducing? Yeah, they get clogged up because they're overproducing.
So it kind of looks like a scaly like layer of
Skin.
It kind of just
Yeah.
looks like scaly, like skin, and
Yeah.
it'll go on their scalp. Sometimes it'll go onto like their forehead, their ear.
It looks like they're peeling.
Kind of, yeah. But you see like the little individual scales, and we saw some on Lena, and she had a very minimal case. And I googled it, and that's how I found out it was Cradle Cap, because I've never heard anybody talk about it, never had anybody mention it to me. So we were looking up like remedies, or is it normal, is it something I should be concerned about, and everybody's just like, no, it's normal for like some kids, some babies during the first year of their life to have it. And then Eden, I think, had a little bit of it. Ezzy had the worst case of it.
He had so much, yeah.
His whole head was covered in Cradle Cap, and it caused him to like lose some hair, because eventually like it falls out, but like it had his like hair follicles with it. But just like just from like doing like minimal research, I found out that, you know, sometimes like coconut oil helps, certain combs, brushing it out, but like not picking at it. But that's something that we didn't know about, that I wish that was more talked about, that somebody mentioned, because it looks super alarming. And Ezzy had an extreme case. It was super alarming, but since we already were familiar with what it wasn't as alarming as it might have been if it was Lena.
Since we were already familiar with it, we just let it naturally take its toll.
Yeah.
It took a while to go away, like a pretty long time, but eventually it went away. All of it.
And again, like family members that weren't so educated about the topic were like, what's wrong? What's on his head? What's the matter? Like, you need to bathe him more. And it's natural, believe me. No matter what anybody says, it's natural, it's normal. If you think your baby's is super severe, I've seen people that have like their baby's like whole forehead plus their heads. Like, pediatricians could give you, I think, medication to help, but minimal to like regular, it's normal. It's nothing to be concerned about. Number 8 is very close to my heart. I think it's super important for every new parent. It's okay to ask for help. I know when we brought our first home from the hospital, I wanted to breastfeed, so I took it upon myself to, you know, wake up with our daughter during the night and feed her and everything. And I know that there's times where I kind of felt like everything was on me. Pete still woke up and like changed all the diapers, but I was up with her, like feeding her, waiting until she fell asleep, putting her to sleep. And there was times where, you know, I, you know, mentally, emotionally would get in like a little funk. And it's just so important to be able to go to your partner, your spouse, your family members, friends, and just ask for help, because you can get into such a like dark place, or just emotionally, mentally like exhausted, and that's not good for your baby, that's not good for you. So it's okay to ask for help. It's not normal, or it's not normal for you to ask for help. You don't have to be alone. It takes a village to raise a child, whether it's you and your spouse, or you and your partner, you and your family, friends, all of everybody.
Yeah, for us, we didn't really have any family out here, not that much, so it was more just like us two taking care of
we didn't ask for much help from family, but we relied on each other a lot. And at the end of the day, I feel like our communication was what made being able to like raise Lena, take care of Lena, like way easier than most people.
Yeah, that's definitely an important one. All right, my next one is umbilical cord for number 9. So I know when you're leaving the hospital, the doctors will like clamp the umbilical cord, and they'll tell you like, you know, it should fall off within like a week to 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then you can start bathing the baby. Until then, just, you know, wash, bathe them and everything, or rinse them like with the rags and everything.
Yeah.
But for us, it was with Lena, it was normal. But then with Eden, it took a long time for it to fall off.
And then when it did fall off, I forget what the term is. When it did fall off, it didn't completely fall off.
Yeah.
So we did
the Epsom salt or sea salt?
It was just like I forget what it was, but it's like salt. We put salt on his belly button around like the part that's still the umbilical cord that was still attached, and you just like let it sit for I think like a minute or two, and then you wipe it off, and then you just go about your day, and it should help the rest of the umbilical cord dry out. But that's also normal and not really something that you should be alarmed about.
Yeah, I know it was kind of alarming because for me, I know I was like, what's going, like, why isn't his umbilical cord falling off, or is something wrong with like him? But I mean, it's just normal. You know, some babies, all babies are different. Everyone has different things that they go through during infancy.
Yeah, I mean, at the time we didn't know that it was normal. We were like, what's wrong? Like, that doesn't look like it's supposed to. Lena's didn't look like that. And obviously that led to both of us just endlessly researching, Googling. And then when we did get to go to a pediatrician, he said the same thing. It's normal, just give it time.
Yeah.
And last but not least, number 10 of things that I wish I knew before having a baby would be that it's normal for newborns to lose weight within like the first week, the first few days. I remember when I had Lena came out at like nearly 9 pounds, and then within like 2 days she was down to like, I think
7 pounds.
No, a little bit more, a little bit over 8 pounds. So she had lost like a few ounces, and then we went to her appointment. They wanted to monitor her like weight gain or weight loss. So then we had to go schedule another appointment for a few days after to make sure that she was gaining. And it was just like, I was like emotionally distraught because I was like, am I not feeding her enough? Like, I'm feeding her, I'm staying up and waking up every 2 hours to try getting her back to weight. And it was something that I was like, am I doing something wrong? But it's normal. You just have to like continue to feed them, but it's normal from them to go from getting fed or never being hungry in the womb to actually having to eat.
Yeah.
So I think it's just important for moms to know that it's normal for the baby to lose some weight. Not a significant like pound, but it is normal for them to lose a few ounces, and it's just with continuous feedings like every 2-3 hours like you're supposed to, the baby should be picking up weight. So
yeah, I think the most important thing is as long as you're feeding them and the babies are actually like eating for, if it's a bottle, you know, it's easy. You could tell if it's an ounce or 2 ounces, how much you're eating every 2 to 3 hours. If it's breastfeeding, I'm sure you could feel like it being emptied.
Yeah, I mean, within the first few days, like,
well, actually, you don't really
eat,
have any breast milk in the first few
days. Yeah, they don't eat that much, and they fall asleep. They fall asleep at the boob. It's hard to get them to eat, but it was frustrating because I was like, I'm up every 2 hours. I know that she's at least eating something, but it's as long as you're waking up and feeding them, as long as you're waking them up to eat, it will be okay.
Yeah, because Eden lost weight too, and so did Ezzy. But since we were already so like
used to it,
yeah, like we weren't thinking anything of it. We just kept doing what we were doing. With Lena, it was kind of like a panic because more for you because you were actually feeding her, but we had to go back and forth to the hospital, like because we were going to the hospital to do it, so we were taking drives all the way back down to see if she was okay.
Yeah, it was hard for just both of us because, you know, we were thinking that we were doing something wrong, and Pete not being able to feed her was like, what can I do? Or like, what could he do? And then me being like, I'm feeding her, but she's not gaining weight. What more can I do? It's okay.
Yeah.
Any new moms or moms to be, it's okay. Within the first few days, as long as you're feeding on time like you should be, the baby will pick up weight. And I think within like by a few weeks, like you'll be able to tell if something's like truly wrong with the baby, like the pediatrician will be able to realize. But it's normal within the first few days for the baby to lose weight, and then after that the baby should be steadily start picking up some weight again.
Yeah. But yeah, those are 10 things that we wish we knew when we were having our first baby.
We hope you guys found this helpful, informational. I really wanted to make this video. We really wanted to make this video because we just have so much. I know that we have just so much knowledge, and we might not think twice about it because we've been doing this for 3 years now. But we have so much knowledge that I know that could be shared and be helpful and of use to new parents or parents to be, or anybody that's planning on becoming parents.
Yeah, because definitely going from Lena to Ezzy, like Ezzy was a cakewalk. This is why, like, when we had Lena, I think, and we had Eden, I was like, oh my goodness, like, I don't want to take care of like another newborn, like, it's so much. We had Ezzy, and I had no worries about what do I have to do, like, what are we going to be prepared for. It was so easy. You
already know what to expect. We've already seen X amount of things, so it was just kind of like, oh, well, he has this, so we know what that means, or this happened, so we know what to do.
Yeah, we had everything ready, everything prepared. It was just a smooth.
Pete changing diapers in the dark. With his eyes closed. He didn't even need to.
Yeah, no, it was easy though. But definitely, if you guys have any questions that maybe something we didn't touch on, definitely ask it, because we probably, if we don't know, we're probably familiar with the situation or familiar with anything, because 3 babies, a lot of them had different multiple not health problems, but like conditions, skin conditions, whatever else. So definitely ask them if you guys have any questions.
We're not experts, but we're seasoned parents. So comment down below if you have any questions, or any. I think we'll be doing a few more videos of just informational parent stuff, so that we're able to just share our knowledge and maybe even learn a few things from you guys.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys next time.